Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with an episode of Lazy GM Prep. In this show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, I am running a Tales of the Valiant game set in the world of Midgard called The Scourge of the Dragon Empire. It's set in the Midgard world, which is available from Kobold Press, using Tales of the Valiant, which is Kobold Press's House 5e system that they're using. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of tips, tools, tricks, and other accessories, access to the awesome Lazy GM community over on Discord, and they help me put on shows like this. If you really want to help me out, if you want to get some awesome stuff to help you with your game, and you want to talk with other Lazy GMs about the whole process, you can do so by becoming a patron of Sly Flourish. The link to the patron is down in the show notes below. We are also having a sale right now on the Sly Flourish bookstore. If you go to shop.slyflourish.com, or you find it down in the show notes, shop.slyflourish.com. You can find out that we have 20% all books, digital or physical. Any digital or physical books we have on the Sly Flourish bookstore are 20% off. And if you have a cart of $60 or more, you get free shipping on your physical books. That includes Forge of Foes, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, Lazy Games Companion, the Workbook, the 4 Fantastic Books, Fantastic Lairs, Runes of the Grendel Root, Fantastic Adventures, and Fantastic Locations. All of them are available for 20% off. When you look at the store, you will see that the prices listed on the products are not discounted. They are discounted the minute you add them to your cart. You will see the savings, and you can get free shipping by putting in the shipping code FREESHIPPING60. This is happening up until December 11th, 2024. So great opportunity to pick up books from the Sly Flourish bookstore. Thank you so much. I cheated. Normally what I do is I don't even think about this game until it's time to sit down here and do our prep for it. But yesterday I had a whole day to myself to do whatever I wanted with. And we're at kind of an interesting, complex time in this campaign. And I said, I want to spend some time kind of digging into the lore a bit and doing a little bit more, kind of going in a bit deeper and focusing on some stuff. I'm going to talk about the stuff that I focused on, but I wanted to say some of the stuff that I'm doing in today's prep show, I already kind of did in another show. So this is one where it's like not a really good representative example of prepping a game in half an hour or an hour or however long. I usually spend an hour and then I cut the video down to half an hour, not because I'm cheating, just because no one wants to watch me go, for like, an hour. So, but one of the things I wanted to do, the characters, let's see, we'll pull up some maps here. The characters are down in a region of the area where the campaign is taking place. And there was a ruined city nearby. And one of the quests that I had, let's see, let's switch over to, well, hang on, let me get a map up first. The characters in this campaign have started at the 440 Fingers, but they have made their way down just north of this place called Kukkutarma. And they're right at the edge, at the Gittagata Hills, which is right on the edge of the Sarkland Desert. And this is the border of the region of the Dragon Empire. Right here, the Gittagata Hills are sort of right on the edge of the border of the Dragon Empire. And they're not very well controlled. And that's actually works well for the campaign that I have. So in this last session, the main thing was the players and the characters coming up with a way to manage their illegal trade route. So the characters are trying to, the characters hijacked a caravan that was smuggling money over to agents of Nuria Natal from one of the Morza. One of the dragons is setting up a secret trade route to Nuria Natal where they're trading goods that they should not be trading. They're sort of embargoed goods that shouldn't be, and the dragons are cheating and doing it. They're doing so through a commercial enterprise called like the Wieland, I don't think it's Wieland, but the Wieland Ashadar Trade Company, who normally trades in a textile called Cloud Silk. However, they're actually going to be smuggling magic items and money back and forth that they should not be transferring back and forth. And the characters found out that the dragon, they don't know if the dragon directly is involved, but they know that the allies of this particular dragon is using gold coins and trade bars of the other dragons to make it look like it's not them. Whether or not that will work or not, who could say? But during this, they spent a good deal of time negotiating the trade route. They had the Wilvan Ashadar Trading Company. And so there is an orc noble who's in charge of the Wilvan Ashadar Trade Company who was actually smuggling the goods. They captured him and convinced him to work for them. For a long time, they were thinking of just killing him. And he kept saying, like, actually, I can help you. Like, if I go back, then, it looks like everything is smooth. And what they came to is we're going to set up an illegal trade route by stacking it on top of an existing illegal trade route. So we're going to let them keep the characters are going to let the dragon's illegal trade route continue, send him back on his way, pass money and stuff back and forth, but they know where it is and they can tap into it. They replaced all of the people that are managing this up until the desert with their own agents. So they managed to convince a Knoll tribe called, I think the Fangs of the Blood Moon is the name of the Knoll tribe. And they said, like, hey, how would you guys like to work for us? And the Knolls are like, yeah, we could do that. Like, it's better than stealing constantly, right? If we can just take a percentage of this thing, we can actually guard the caravan and make sure that it's all smooth, make sure everything was working out. So they agreed. And then they have these hobgoblins that are working for them as well, who can take it from the Gittagata Hills back to the 440 Fingers. So they've replaced the evil mercenary company that was doing it with their own hobgoblins and their own gnolls to manage this trade route. And now they've got like a tap in the pipeline, right? If you imagine there's a pipeline of gold and magic items that are making their way from the city of Ashadar to the Gittagata Hills, then on sand ships that take it to Nurya Natal, and then back from Nurya Natal to the Gittagata Hills, across the Gittagata Hills, across the Gizmiri, back to 440 Fingers, and eventually to Ashadar. But they're tapped into the line, so they can decide what magic items go back and forth. They can put their own magic items into the pipeline and get money back from them. They can also see what magic items the dragons are passing back and forth, what the ones that they are asking, the ones that they're passing along, and the ones that they're getting back. The characters have first right of refusal to take those things and swap them in and out. The question is, can they do so without alerting the dragons to the fact that they have now tapped into the line? So that's going to be pretty interesting. So they set all of that up, and then they found out that the Fangs of the Blood Moon, let's switch over to our Obsidian sheet here. They found out that the Fangs of the Blood Moon were tracking a goblin who had stolen a puzzle box, a weird puzzle box, and he stole this puzzle box from a group known as they're known as the Desert Scorpions, and it's a clockwork box of Selket, and there is a secret cult called the Selket Sting, right? Selket Sting is an assassin guild that operates out of the Sarklan Desert and probably in the edge of Gizmiri. And the Selket Sting is hunting this goblin to get back this puzzle box. And the Gnolls were going to go do it on behalf of the Selket Sting. They were kind of like mercenaries that were going to do it on behalf of Selket Sting. And and they were like, but now we don't need to do it because we're part of your trade caravan thing, so we're going to do that. And the character said, well, and they found out that the goblin had traveled to the ruins of a city known as Kukkutarma. So the characters are saying, well, why don't we go to Kukkutarma and we'll capture this goblin and we'll take care of this puzzle box thing. And the Gnolls are like, sure, whatever. We didn't really care that much. So the characters are going to do that. So I then needed to figure out, well, what the hell's going on with Kukkutarma? And there's really very, very little information inside the Midgard world book about Kukkutarma. There's one little section here, the ruins of Kukkutarma, which say, let's get rid of that highlighting. The ruins of Kukkutarma, haunted by wraiths and gray thirsters, this former city of Kandahira has been extensively looted. Its undercity is ruled by mummies, undead gnolls, and blood-sucking werebats. So that's cool. Let's try to do a little cross-referencing here and see if we can find anything about this city. And I think that is... here we go. We have a little bit more. Segatan's demise. The 10th province of the empire is that of the sea domain of Segatan and the route to riches south and east of the empire, and to the trade connections of Torilo to the north. The waves and islands are the great dragon turtle Satoro's domain, and this dragon is accounted the leading admiral of the Marathi fleet, charged with destroying Troilan, Kandahiran, and Nurian shipping in the times of war. So apparently, but that city's not anywhere near a shipping lane. So that's interesting. So Kandahiran sorcery, Gizmiri. In other places, small hills stand out from the flat landscape. These are the burial mounds of dragons slain in battle by Gent and sorcery. The ruins of several Kandahirian cities litter the plain. So Kandahirian is, I guess, kind of the empire, and Kukkutarma is one of the cities, littered the plain. Each thoroughly sacked and plundered when the Dragon Empire took the city. In other places, small hills stand out from the landscape. These are the burial mounds. Yeah, okay, so that's what we saw before. Whoops. So there's lots of instances of this. Gizmiri is a wasteland of red desert and bones, and the remnants of entire armies of Kandahiria, and most of it could be easily considered the western part of the Red Wastes. Their charges are swift and crushing. Let's see. The Aegis are raised from birth to believe in the superiority of scaled folk over all others, and their confidence shows in the battlefield. Their charges are swift and crushing, and they fight with a zeal rarely seen in Septime mercenaries or even levied human troops from Candahiria. So I think we've got pretty much all. But as you can see, like what's actually going on in Kukkutarma is pretty lightweight. And that's cool because that means we can fill it out, right? We can add it, but we have to spend the time to add it. So I was like, well, I only have so much time here on the show, so why don't I spend a little bit of time actually coming up with my own stuff? And what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to start with maps. I'm going to get some maps of the location. So let me pull up some maps here. So I have an overland map of Kukkutarma. As you can see, I printed out a Dyson map. Thank you, Dyson, for your fantastic maps. And I just jotted down a few places. I actually jotted down only about two places, it looks like. And I have a third in mind. I am probably going to add I want to add a few others. And so maybe one thing we'll do today is decide on like what other locations inside Kukkutarma exist. For example, I think in the north here, right below the A of the Kukkutarma label, I think that's going to be like a hill range rather. It looks like a forest, but I'm going to turn it into like an old hill. And I think there's a tomb in there, and there are blood mages of the, what are they called? The Sanguine Path are operating out of a tomb there, and they are sending agents into the city to recover old magic that is kind of buried, forbidden magic that is buried there, to help them with their terrible blood magic that they're working on. So blood mages, one of the factions that I think is going to be operating out of this city are the blood mages of the Sanguine Path. So that's fun. That's another one from Demon Cults and Secret Societies, by the way. It's a fantastic book of the real, first of all, everyone knows. I don't know if everyone knows. If you don't know, I love cults. Like, cults are one of my favorite sort of villains and bad guys that I put in all my games, and I love them to death. And here's an entire book, 178-page book by Kobold Press of just Demon Cults and Secret Societies that operate in Midgard. Really, really cool. You can, of course, take these and drop them into any of your games. But this is there are a few books. One thing about the RPG hobby, I'm going to pontificate for a moment here. One thing about the RPG hobby is like, boy, and if you're anything like me, I buy a ton of books. Now, I have an expense allowance for books, so I buy lots and lots and lots of books. I'm surrounded by books. And there's a big important question of like, which books continue to offer value long after you bought them? And I can give you a handful of books that really have continued to offer value. If you're looking for gifts to give to people this holiday season, these are some books that I think really offer a lot. Now, of course, books that offer a lot to me may not be books that offer a lot to you or to someone else, but I can say that of all of the books that I've bought, here are a handful of books that I find myself continually going back to when I'm running my games. Demon Cults and Secret Societies is one of those books. This is a book from Kobold Press that I've had now for a long time. I don't remember when this thing came out. 2017, right? So it's more than 5 years old. It's just like 8 years old? Is it really that old? My God, it's an old book. I love it. Right? It is a really outstanding book. I go back to it all of the time. I really love it. So Demon Cults and Secret Societies, fantastic book. The other book that I would recommend is, of course, the Midgard World book. I've now used this for 3 different campaigns. Great big tome, 466-page source book. Tons of stuff in here. This one is also quite venerable. It was made in 2018. That's weird. This came out in 2018, but Demon Cults and Secret Societies came out in 2017. So anyway, that makes it 6 years old. Really outstanding book, and I just use it all the time. It's a really, really good book. Those are two. Two other books that I will throw out there are Trials and Treasure by Level Up Advanced 5e is a fantastic book that I find myself going back to. I love the random encounter tables that they have in there. I love the treasure parcel system they have in there. They've got lots of stuff going on inside the Trials and Treasure book from Level Up Advanced 5e. I highly recommend it for any of your 5e games. And the Level Up Advanced 5e Monstrous Menagerie is also an excellent book that actually sits right alongside the Trials and Treasure book, because the encounters in Trials and Treasure are intended for you to then build out the encounter further by the encounter listing that you will find for the monster you selected in the Monstrous Menagerie. So the two books, the random encounter tables from Trials and Treasure directly connect to the monster encounter tables that you find for each monster in the Monstrous Menagerie. It is a really slick way to connect those books. So I like them very much. What about the Kobold Press books? What about Tales of the Valiant? Do I feel the same way? So far, yes. And in fact, by the way, this is the digest-sized version of the Player's Guide, which I just picked up. And other than having very small text, but readable, the size is great. It's a really easy size, and it is $25. It is very cheap. I am sure that these books, the Monster Vault and the Player's Guide for Tales of the Valiant are two other books that I'm probably going to go back to often. The Monster Vault in particular, because I love the design of the monsters in the Monster Vault. Really strong, really powerful monsters. I like it very much. So those are also probably on the list. But I haven't had them long enough to really say. Like, these books I've had for years, and I find myself going back to them year end. So those are. So Demon Cults and Secret Societies has a section on the Sanguine Path. That's where I picked this up, this idea. And it also has a section for Selket Sting. So I have two different cults that are going to be operating out of Kukkutarma, and with information about them inside Demon Cults and Secret Societies. So that works really well. What else? So I'm going to have a little enclave of the blood mages of the Sanguine Path right there. And then I have, so where is Selket Sting operating out of? Are they? I don't know that they have a headquarters here necessarily. They might have a handful of, we might decide that Selket Sting actually has an assassin who's operating out of this place. We should take a look. What does the assassin stat block look like in Tales of the Valiant? Let's go to our Tales of the Valiant Monster Vault and spreads. And we got NPCs and we go to assassin. So assassins are CR8. So that is really tough. That means the characters to face one of these would have to be about 5th level if it's not a deadly encounter, roughly equivalent of a deadly encounter. And 157 hit points, 15 AC. If they're subject to an effect that makes a dex save, they take only half. They have poisoned weapons. The assassins are coated in poison. When it hits with the weapon deals an extra 3d8 poison included in the attack. In addition, at the start of each of its turns, the assassin can choose which of the following poisons is active on its weapons. The poison remains in the weapon. They just choose it at the beginning of their turn, not even a bonus action or anything. Assassin's Friend. Creature poisoned by the weapon coated takes an extra 4 poison damage each time it takes damage while poisoned. Woo! Buyer's Mercy. A creature poisoned by the weapon coated with this poison falls unconscious while poisoned or until it takes damage, or another creature uses an action to wake it. Meddler's Fate. A creature poisoned by this weapon coated with its speed is halved while poisoned. Seems like the Buyer's Mercy is the worst of the two. And it has so those are its actions. And it can do it with either crossbow. Let's see, it makes 3 short sword or hand crossbow attacks. Ooh, 3 attacks. And it's a 6 plus 13. That's 19 damage times 3. Man, that'll knock a lot of people out. Bonus action, Hidden Step. Magically teleports along with its equipment it's wearing up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. It's really hard to find that assassin. And then it can take the hide action. Wow. So I think having a Selket Sting assassin here in camp is probably a good idea. And the idea that they are deadly, right? And I think we can make it clear to people this assassin who's here is deadly. And then they'll have some other people working with them around. Probably, I think I don't know if they have scouts. I'm sure they have scouts. The question is, or maybe spies. I guess a spy would probably be better. Spies of Selket Sting. They have cultists, of course. So we could have cultists of Selket Sting because they are a cult. So we have scouts and spies. Scouts are CR1 half. Spies are CR1. The spy is more of a low-ranking Selket Sting assassin. That would be kind of cool. So we have some options there for Selket Sting. For the blood mages, there is probably a mage operating out of here with some mages apprentices we can use, right? And we can have Blood Bolt instead of Arcane Bolt. We can just reskin that super easily. And our mage is CR6 with 140 hit points. Only AC 13 though. But do they have any kind of bonus action to protect themselves? Let's see. They don't have shield. Oh. They can make dagger, arcane bolt attack. Arcane bolt is 16. So the interesting thing is the mage is probably not near as powerful as the old mage. It has fireball and cone of cold. This is a little oddity, right? We have the mage stat block, and they have sort of the arcane bolt attacks that it can use, but they didn't take the equivalent of the cone of cold, which is really a strong spell, and put that in the stat block itself. So we still have sort of its main damage is that of its actual spells, and greater invisibility too. But we can have a mage, and again, the characters are only 3rd level, right? So we're not, before we start hurling mages and stuff at them, we just want to recognize that the head of this group is the blood mages is probably a mage, right? That makes sense given the story. But then they could have mage apprentices that are here, which are pretty strong, right? These are good CR1s. I like the Mage Apprentice, and we could have Apprentice, Blood Cult. So we have that group, and then we have a third group. And by the way, I want to give a little bit of a content warning here. So one of the topics that I am going to be talking about in today's show is slavery. We're going to have some gnolls that have enslaved the people of nearby towns that are sending them into the area. So that's something I'm going to be covering here in the show. And I also am going to reiterate the fact that this is one of the veils that I'm going to kind of have in the game. When we did our lines and veils for the game, I did mention during our session 0 that slavery was a topic that was going to be evil slavery. So there's no good guy slaves in any game that I run, but there's no good guy slaves certainly in this campaign, and evil slavery, and characters cannot be involved in any kind of slavery other than killing slavers. And we're going to have some slavers that are inside this game. So yeah, A, I wanted to mention it to you while you're watching the show. And B, I'm going to reiterate it with my players when we cover that topic, because slavery in games is definitely a hard and sensitive topic. And I want to make sure that I'm respecting my players. So that's another group, which is going to be an evil group of gnolls that are, and I dutifully wrote down who they worshipped on a 3x5 card, which I left upstairs. I'm going to have to run and get it. So they're operating out of here as well. And we're going to have maybe like a half dragon who is managing them. And they want to, so this city, because it's been like kind of well picked over, all of the valuables from most of the buildings have already been taken, but they know that there are vaults and there are dungeons lying beneath the city of Kukkutarma. And the gnoll slavers and the half dragon who's ruling over them, they've captured villages of people and have been sending them in to go discover them. And they've been getting killed, right, by skeletons and Grey Thirsters and wraiths and other nasty things that are operating out there. So it's very deadly. But they have a camp nearby as well. So what I'm doing is kind of building, I actually thought of it a little bit like Omu from Tomb of Annihilation, where Kukkutarma is this big city. It has a couple of big adventure locations there, maybe 2 direct dungeons that the characters can go to, and then 2 sort of campsites. Actually, we're going to have a third campsite, which we're going to have some priests that are operating out of there that are nice. Good guy priests that are operating out of there. So the players have like a camp that they can go to where they're relatively safe, probably hidden away somewhere. So we're going to kind of fill all that up, but I already got some maps of like the locations. So that's one, that's the overland map of Kukkutarma. Then I have the ziggurat of Thoth Hermes, which is the Kukkutarma, that ziggurat on the left-hand side. This is the map to that. And I had some ideas of like what's going on in this place. And then we had the ruins of Sand and Blood. This is where the gnoll slavers are and where they are keeping their things, and they're keeping the prisoners, and where they operate out of. And this is going to be kind of in the outskirts of the city. And then we have the Pit of Eternal Hunger, which is a ruin. It's a ruined shrine of Anu Akma that's collapsed inwards, and it turns out that there are layers of dungeons below that actually worship the endless hunger. The endless hunger is, of course, a mask of the god Vardizane. And there are lots of nasty things down here, and could be one of the areas. I can't remember if is this where I decide. I think this is probably where we'll have to decide. Like, is this where the puzzle box came from? Like, what are the hooks that are going to draw people to actually go to this place is something that we are going to figure out. So I've got my little 3x5 card where I wrote down some notes of different groups that are operating out of here while I was reading my books, and I'm going to put in today's notes. So let's jump over to Obsidian, and let's get actually started, right? Because we're just getting started here, of making some prep notes for today. So I have my Dragon Empire template for today. It's 1st of December today. Characters include Amavin. What do we know about Amavin? I still don't know the characters well enough. Amavin is an elf rogue cosmopolitan criminal raised as an orphan to be a spy for the Dragon Empire, but fled after some event who is under the wing of Master Kiprak. So a question that I have is, does Amavin know anything about what's going on here? Amavin heard of Selket's sting and is aware of their ways, right? That's probably something another rogue would know about. Denzia is a small folk gnome ranger nomadic outcast, runs the food truck at the 440 Fingers with Blue Glacier, inventor of the Drake Park water. They're still coming up with a name. So far, the Drake Park Regulators seems to be the character's name. We'll see if that sticks. Gaudenzia got her ranger. And I asked what new stuff did they get? And they got a subclass of Hunter and a handful of spells, including Thunderwave, can become relentless, does extra damage after a target is wounded. So one thing that Gaudenzia really likes, I think, is when somebody moves away from them. She has something that she can do when characters move away, and I want to make sure, this is like the shoot your monks. I want to make sure to offer that up. I'll have to ask about that today. Has killer instincts, which lets her know a monster's resiliences and resistances and vulnerabilities, and can do so her proficiency bonus times a day. So that's pretty good. So Gaudenzia can probably tracks the gnolls and their slaves. We have Cal. Cal is a elf druid cottage homesteader. Mother is Orthania Darkbloom, who runs an apothecary for the 440 Fingers. So Cal is aware of blood magic, right? Knows the twisted way of blood magic. We then have Mateo. Mateo is a mechanist from the Seven Cities area. Works alongside Master Kiprek. Able to convert non-magical. I think Mateo can sense the red portal. What's the red portal? You'll find out. I already have thoughts about red portal. One of the drives I like about this place is I have a feeling that there is a red portal somewhere underneath the city, maybe in the ziggurat, and that the puzzle box actually activates the red portal. And that would actually allow the characters to travel very quickly from Kukkutarma back to the 440 Fingers. That could be a way for them to be able to cut across the Gizmiri and make their travel a lot faster in this area. So I think that might be kind of a fun thing to unlock. I'm kind of stealing that idea from my City of Arches campaign, but I think it'll work. Red portals are actually a thing. But the idea that they found a red portal in Kukkutarma, but what's the odds that it shows up exactly where they need it to be near 440 Fingers? So maybe we'll have it in Nerdurin. We'll look at Nerdurin, we'll look at Sayaz, which are still closer. Rowan is a dwarf fighter salvager rustic, nephew of Cleon Forgekin. So Rowan, was sent to the war and slaughter, probably knows of the battles. And what did we say it was called? Let's just look over at the Midgard World Book again. Of Kondiria, knows of the Kondiria Wars. And then we have Tolstoy, beastkin rat wizard outcast who wants to take down the empire. Hates slavery. I think that is... I'm going to push an emotion onto a character. You're not really supposed to do that, but I'm doing it. I don't care. Because it will absolutely make sense for Tolstoy, and the player's totally into that kind of stuff. So the strong start in our last session. So we're beginning with them on their journey to Kukkutarma. So I'm going to just do scenes real quick. So final thoughts and conversations with the gnolls, hobgoblins, and the merchant. I got to get all these names. Then journey to Kukkutarma. Then probably, I think they want to find the priest. And the priests, so let's see, my little cheat sheet here. The priests of Hume. I think it'll be good for them to find the priests of Hume. And then, that will give them like a safe spot in Kukkutarma to decide what path they're going to take. And then journey through Kukkutarma. And then they have choices of either the pit of unending thirst. I guess they have 4 areas, right? So we're actually going to move this to the location section. I like that better than the pit name I had before. The Crypt of the Blood Mages is another location. The Ruins of Blood and Sand, and the Ziggurat of Thoth Hermes. So those are the main locations available in Kukkutarma. And I guess that is going to leave me with the option of a little bit of improvisation, but they're probably a lot. This is going to cover, these first 3 scenes are going to cover a good deal. I have a 3-hour game, so I need about 4 scenes to truly fill it out, probably. I probably want to have at least 5, But I think I'll have enough information to go there. I need to look up some names. So we have the Fangs of the Blood Moon, and I need to have like who's the head. I wonder if do I have an NPC name for the Fangs of the Blood Moon? Look at all these NPCs. I have Bruchard Dragon Dancer, who I made for another session and then never used. Aditha Dustborn, died. I don't know what I did with the other person. Here we go. Silverblade. War Chief Silverblade is the head of the Fangs of the Blood Moon. I cut my words down so it'll fit nicer on a page. We then have who is the Bradick Grimm, and the name of the trade caravan was what? Wilvin Ashadar Trading Company. Put that in there. Then I need the Hobgoblin leader. Let's see, what's a cool Hobgoblin name? Vekaran. We already have Blood Moon, so we're not Blood Spear. Commander of the Red Palm. No, I have red somewhere else. So Vekaran Halfspear will be their contact. So they've got the three, and I don't think we've named them. If we name them, I'll change them to something else. Then we need the head of the priestly order. So they saved the guy. I don't remember what they ever did with them, but I'm just going to steal. We'll probably just make a new character. So I need a priest of Hune. Hune being the god of like portals and stuff like that, who is here and recognizes that like there's a red portal somewhere beneath here and they're trying to figure it out. So we're going to go to my random generator. I'm kind of all over the place with my prep today, as you can imagine, but I got a lot going on. Akako Spine Teeth. Smile Boot is a fun name. Titan Storm. Anvil Knocker. North Chest. Let's see. Robin is a good one. I think we'll have a Robin. Robin what? Bearcutter, Duststalker, Stormcaster, Stormwise. How about we'll go with Stormwise? Robin Stormwise, who's a priest of Hune. Boy, I could keep going with these NPCs, because then it's like, well, who's the head? We have a Selket Sting Assassin operating out of here, or a Duststalker. Sounds good. Selket Sting Assassin, and we need a Blood Mage, Ritus Doomcaster, and what are they called? Sanguine Path Mage, and then we need a Gnoll and the Dragon, Gravash. And the Gnolls, Blacksting. The Gnolls worship Abriak, who is a venom god. This particular Gnoll tribe, and I think we had an Abriak in here before in my NPC name. The Prince of Swarms, Abriak, Prince of Swarms. Abriak Gnoll Slave Lord, that's Gravash Blacksting. And then we need the Dragonborn. Eriz is a good name. And Eriz what? Dawn Gaze. Half Dragon. And they're a low-ranking member. What's the ranks of... Not a Tamarli, and probably not a Scaled Lord. Not an Armanli. So probably a Kinji. It's a fighter, like a commander, a Kinji commander. Lots of NPCs. Woo, boy, NPCs. So we've got that. So the strong start is, and let's see, I guess we'll just, final thoughts and conversations with Bradick, Vekaran, Silverblade, and Silverblade while they're setting up their trade route. The strong start is going to be Bradick talks about freedom and life under the Morza. So I think like one thing I want to do is kind of sell them that Bradick is a good guy, because they still think Bradick is going to betray them because he was the merchant caravan leader. But the truth is that Bradick is much happier working with the characters against the dragons than he is working for the dragons. He knew that like anything, no matter what happened, no matter what nobility he hit, he was always, in a bad state. So we've got that. So I've got characters, I've got a strong start, scenes, I've got everything but monsters and treasure. Let's throw some, I'm gonna throw some treasure in here real quick. 1 to 4 treasure generator, bang. This looks good. I don't know what Arcanus Magic Aura is. Natural Crumbling Disc. We'll have like 2 times Potions of Healing. Natural Crumbling Disc, and let's have it cast a different spell. That casts Stone Skin. That works. And a Periapt of Health. It's a good treasure parcel that they could find. And we're going to come to monsters in a section, but now I need a bunch of secrets. So we're going to spiral. When we think about our campaign development, we're going to spiral outwards from where the characters are. So let's see. A secret is, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I already know who's going to say it. Life as a Jambuka, never, no matter what your rank is, you're always expendable. Life is cheap for the Jambuka. The Morza have hundreds of agents separating their will from the daily activities of the Empire. This means it's like really hard to track them down. Let's see. Kukkutarma was once a city of the, and then what do we call it? Kandahiriya, of the Kandahiriya Empire, but fell centuries ago under dragon and dragon tapped sorcery. The mages of Kukkutarma sought any power they could find to help them win their war. They failed. Blood magic is outlawed in most realms of Midgard. Even the Morza outlawed it in the Dragon Empire, but it's known even they experiment with it. They have agents. So it's outlawed, but not for them, which is very true to the corruption of the Dragon Empire. What else? So one thing I want to do is we are going to pull up, I need an encounter along the way. And we are going to pull up Tales of Valiant, and we're going to pull up our Game Master's Guide. Whoops, what did I just do? Oh no, that was the wrong thing. There we go. And we are going to go to encounters. Oh, it's not hyperlinked. Sad. Let's see, random encounter tables. And we have a few options there. Are they? They're kind of hyperlinked. Okay. Arctic, no. Badlands, yes. So where's my dice? Let's see what this fires up here. I really like the random encounter tables in Level Up Advanced 5e, but since I'm kind of using all of the Tales of Valiant stuff, it gives me an opportunity to try all this stuff out. They have fewer encounter tables, fewer encounter options in Tales of the Valiant, but they have deeper story going on with them. That can be good or bad, because sometimes the story that they put in it is too specific for a thing that like doesn't fit what you want. So, not really sure which I prefer yet. So let's roll Badland encounter. 11 is a ramshackle hut stands in the middle of a dried out riverbed. If the PCs search the hut, they discover it's abandoned. They find doll-sized effigies crafted in the mud and reeds and decorated to match the PC's current likeness. I like half of this. I like the ramshackle hut in the middle of the dried out riverbed and that they find out it's abandoned. So I like this. We're going to throw this into a scene. So we don't need to have journey to Kukkutarma. The abandoned hut, and they'll find signs. Let's see. So, gnolls of the black sting, right? Black venom. We'll call them black venom gnolls. Kidnapped, captured, and enslaved. Villages in the Gizmiri to use as fodder to find artifacts in the ruins of Kukkutarma. So the abandoned, let's see, we'll have an abandoned village. We'll have them stumble upon an entire village. And let's roll again and just see if there's something that happened in this village. Elven Druid has succumbed to the stress of their attempts to revitalize a plot of poison land. They recklessly attack anyone who points out their project's futility, but they reward anyone who offers tangible assistance. So we could have a druid this could be like a little mini scene. This is kind of cool. Is it a druid of hewn? What we have to have, like, a druid is trying to remove the corruption of the black venom gnolls, but ended up summoning poisoned, what are those little guys? Little tree dudes. We need our monster vault. And let's go to our challenge rating table. Creatures by challenge. I can't read that. Whoops. So you have like awakened plants. Do they have it by, there's by tag, by terrain. What are those little tree things called? They're usually pretty low CR. Let's see, we'll look at forest. So we have awakened shrubs, but those are so low. Twig blights. I don't see twig blights in here. No. That's a bummer. I don't see either twigs or blights. They have trents, but trents are too powerful. Do they have, let's see. We have by terrain, but not by type exactly. Well, let's look up Badlands here. Lizard snake, giant lizard snakes. They got robots. What's a weirdling? Weirdlings are humanoids. It could be a weirdling though. Let's see. I don't know. Page 45, you say. Here we go. We have awakened plants. Awakened plant tree. That's what we'll do. So they don't have twig blight, but they have awakened plants. Thank you. That helps. Monsters A to Z. Where's that? All plant creatures. Where are the plants? Where do I find them? I'm terrible at this. Let's do a search for tree. 75 matches. Let's do a search for awakened. There we go. Awakened trees. All right. And that's on page 333. So, and is there a druid NPC? There is a druid, and the druid is a CR2. Perfect. And that's on page 365. So they go to an abandoned village. This will be the scene. They go to the abandoned village. They see like the ruins of the whole thing and like dead people there and like poison. And a poisoned druid was trying to like fix the place, but ended up creating these like crazy poisoned awakened trees. The characters have to fight the awakened trees, deal with the druid, and then they can learn more about what's been going on at Kukkutarma, and they'll learn about like the enslaved and stuff like that. So I think that will work fine. Let's fill out some more secrets. I think I've got I don't have monsters, but I have like awakened tree. I've already put it in there, so I'm not gonna worry about the monster section because I'll just highlight those. What I'm missing, and probably don't have time for, is getting an encounter list of the kinds of things they might find wandering around Kukkutarma. We'll see, but I need more secrets right now. I only got 6. So what else could they learn? There's a hidden vault to and what is it called? There was a good name for the mask of, so many things open here, of Vardazane, where the gods, pantheons, dark gods. And we have, let's see here, going down to Vardazane in my Midgard World book. And Vardazane, the bottomless maw, Lord of unending thirst. A hidden vault to the Lord of unending thirst beneath the ruins of, and it was in my little notebook here. What was let's see, I put it in the Shrine of Anu Akma. So we still have the knoll in the puzzle, or the goblin in the puzzle box. So we'll say, let's see, the goblin sage of Hewn. It turns out the goblin's actually a good guy and smart, and took the puzzle box. Let's get a name here. Yeah, and her Elias Silver Gaze. Goblin Sage of Hewn, and she's the one that stole the puzzle box. So the puzzle box from Selket Sting and has taken it to Kukkutarma to use it to activate a red portal. So it turns out that Athelia is actually a good goblin and is using it to activate a red portal to get away from Selket Sting. And it's not actually a Selket Sting puzzle box. So a red portal beneath the ziggurat of Thoth Hermes. So what reason would the characters have to go? So there's this other dungeon, which looks really cool. The pit of unending thirst, right? The pit of unending thirst. So what reason could the characters have to go there? Maybe the puzzle box has 2 parts, one of which lies in the depths of the pit of unending thirst. That's a good one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more secret. Oh, in the defense of Kukkutarma, and what are we calling them? The Kandaharians used blood magic, which rose many of their ranks to terrible undead, including Grey Thirsters. Grey Thirsters are, let's see, they're in the Tome of Beasts 1. Let's pull them up. Look at those guys. Into Grey Thirsters. They are CR2s. Perfect. And that's Tome of Beasts, page 221. We'll put them in our monsters. Oh, I don't have a monsters. Does that mean I have to bring the Tome of Beasts for me for 1 monster? That sucks. We'll just print that 1 page, I think, because I think it's the only one I'm gonna use. So let me do that right now. I'm thinking about Tome of Beasts because I want to bring it all with me. Tome of Beasts 1, 2023. Down to G's. Down to Grey Thirster. And that is actually on page 222. Print page. There we go. Selection and preview, print. I got my one monster. Cool. That, mostly so I can show the picture. I think I've got enough. This seems fine. This is all fine. It's a little chaotic, and there's parts of it that I wish I'd filled out more, but it's fine. So I'm going to go to print, export to PDF, scaling. We'll try 85 and see how that works. And export it to desktop. And I got lots of room, so I'm going to do it to 80. File. Let's see. File, export to PDF. Scale it to 80. That's actually smaller, so I did it the wrong way. File, export to PDF. We could do 90. Nice and big so I can read it. There we go. Print. If you want to see what that looks like. My nice notes. You want to learn more about how to use Obsidian for your notes, you can find links in the show notes for it. There's my Gray Thirster, by the way. And they're like dehydrated undead. And this is what my notes look like that I'm printing out for today's game. You want to know how to print them out from Obsidian like this? There are, in my article about using Obsidian, you can learn more about that. And we are all set. So, friends, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today while we prepped for my role-playing game today. If you enjoyed this show and you want more stuff like this, the best thing you can do is subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. In the newsletter, you will get a weekly RPG-related article sent directly to your inbox with links to all of the other stuff that I do. You can get a free Adventure Generator PDF for signing up, and it is absolutely free to do so. You can also partake in the 20% off sale we are having right now through December 11th. Through December 11th, 20% off all books on the Sly Flourish bookstore. It's a really good deal, and you get free domestic shipping if you pick up $60 or more. That is also in the show notes. And you can support me directly on Patreon. Patrons get access to all kinds of awesome tips, tools, tricks. The random generator I was just using as a Patreon feature. All kinds of stuff to get. Dyson map tool to help map gallery to help you pick your Dyson maps for your games. All kinds of stuff that I use all the time to help me prep my games. You can get by becoming a patron of Sly Flourish. All of those links are in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day and get out there and play an RPG.